Most workspaces we'll show in these courses have one cue list. They're simple. Even if the cue list itself is complex, it's just one list. However, sometimes you might find a reason to organize your work into multiple cue lists inside one workspace. For example, in this cue list, I have two extra cue lists. In fact, I utilize these two cue lists in templates that I use as a designer. The first is a cue list of script cues. These are bits of AppleScript computer code that automate common tasks. If you've stepped through one of the fade in or fade out lessons, you'll know that this can be a tedious process when building an initial show. So I wrote some code and set each script cue to a hotkey. Now I can select an audio cue and press Ctrl I to make a fade in, or Ctrl O to make a fade out. Side note, you don't have to know how to code to make these. On Figure 53's website, there is a repository of useful AppleScript code that you can use for free. Simply copy and paste. The second cue list is a cue list of example cues. For example, in one of my venues is a speaker check, and it looks the same every single time. So I have it already built, ready to go for a new show. Or I do a lot of work controlling my Behringer X32 soundboard and my ETC Geo lightboard. These are example cues on how to do that so that I don't have to remember or Google every single show, and so that my students have a quick resource to access the information. The third example is maybe like a game of Family Feud that I made for a university event. Here I categorized everything into rounds. It was clean, organized, and because of this, it was straightforward enough for the club to use without my being present. Each of these extra cue lists were actually cue carts, which will be discussed in a different lesson.